Dear human, dear soul, I welcome you to my podcast series, Conversations with the Universe. Since a near-death experience, I have the gift to communicate with subtle levels of the cosmos. The knowledge from these for us invisible forms of energy I capture in my books, and it is now a great pleasure for me to share this knowledge, these conversations, with you as a supplement to the books. Please excuse me if the terms and articulations are not perfect. Our mother tongue is German, but we try to translate it to the best of our abilities. Thank you.
My dear Padawans, I welcome you to the next episode of Conversations with the Universe. Today, are we meeting Oswald? From Oswaldo Cruz in 1872 in São Luís do Paraitinga at his born in São Paulo, and was probably a very intelligent person. He died in 1917. Even before he could reach his 45th year and left behind heirs, this person had a very exciting life. A foundation that produced 60% of the world's vaccines. So his work continues to affect our world to this day and carries its echoes. So I will start with the interview. I call upon the energy that revealed itself to humans as the entity Oswaldo Cruz. Dear Oswaldo, you surely already heard that I want to interview all of you at some point to get to know you. To get to know you and to learn who you were in your past life and who you are now. I read a lot about you and learned that you were very intelligent and studied a lot from a young age. By the way, for the attentive listeners, many of these details are recorded in the book. He can take a closer look there. But now, please, dear Oswaldo, tell me, how did you see the world perceived at the time?
As a little boy, I never understood people in the way they viewed the world. That was unfamiliar to me, because they seemed to be in a sort of sleep state, only half aware.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that, but were you also able to perceive subtle energies back then in your last life?
No, but I could see the energy of people in the sense that I could see how they were crusted.
Mm-hmm. And from your current perspective, do you have a guess? Where your special intelligence in your past life originated?
That was this special kind of connection I had within me. It was very energetic, that's true. And this energy was the reason why I understood so much at a very young age.
How would you describe this type of connection?
The energy that flowed through me was not just any energy. It was the cosmic energy that rarely flows in this form.
What do you mean by that? What exactly constitutes this power? What is the prerequisite for it to flow?
The power of the mind is the decisive point. Mm-hmm. The energy needs a channel, and the spirit must create it. I brought this channel with me, and that was the reason for my actions. But cosmic energy, after all, originates from the source everywhere. Do you think you had a special gift for channeling this power? Yes, got it. Can we ultimately translate it so that the high energy you had was the time can transform cells and thus make the brain process more actively? Yes, but I also claim that it requires additional components. Shaping the cells is not the only thing that happens in the process. The special nature of this power makes it possible to see things differently. What matters is the awareness. It makes you perceive things differently when you live with and in this strength.
How did you interact with people in such a consciousness that you have crusted and unconsciously perceived?
Yeah. That was very difficult. The people seemed like they were from another planet. I wanted to tell them something, but they never understood.
Would that have made me sad?
No, but I did not know why that is and why they are like that. That was sometimes a bit problematic, as you can imagine.
But ultimately,
actually, they recognized parts of you and even gave you awards for them. Yes, but I was not on earth to receive awards. I wanted to bring something to the people. This knowledge was my mission, not awards, nice attitude. I heard you were also interested in microbiology and were very successful in
Until
it.
next time, bye.
Why was it specifically microbiology that fascinated you so much? That's a very good question, Sylvia. But for me, these forms of being were simply very interesting. I wanted to show people that the connection between microbiology and consciousness exists, that this connection controls them. It's like taking the little creatures to report on the great beings. The microelements are all very simple and easily influenced. That in turn makes it easier to clarify the regularities. Were there special moments in your life that shaped you?
Subtitles by the Oswaldo
The
Cruz.
decision of the people that I should return to Brazil was a relief for me. I never really wanted to travel far, but sometimes I had to leave to spread this knowledge. But when I had the chance to work in Brazil, I was relieved and fully in my power. This type of work was very pleasant to me because it felt more protective. How did you feel then? I was very happy. I was happy and in my element. I always wanted to help people more and more through this. Did you also have a wife and children? Oh yes. How were your encounters with women? Often they are very intuitive and therefore connected. But that doesn't necessarily mean they are more conscious than other people. That was very difficult because they often lived very unconsciously. This fact was very suspicious to me. On the one hand, they were very charming. On the other hand, very unconsciously, and therefore sometimes very unlovingly. That was, you laugh. It was like a circus with claws. One mask was beauty and love, and the other was evil, but both were part of one person. How should one understand that? Yes, I really have to laugh a lot at that. But you eventually found someone, didn't you? Yes, to get serious again. My wife was very kind. Could you somehow pass on the gift of your special energy? No, that was the quality of my soul. I don't know if such things can be inherited and what is needed for that.
May I ask you about your transition?
Please don't. I want to keep this to myself.
Oh, I see. Just start telling me from there. Whatever you want to report now. I just want to find the connection from the form as a human, to the now form, to your new form as an entity, so outside of the body, and why everything is the way it is now and how it came to be.
I had arrived in the realm of the masters after my transition and asked me what meaningful thing I could do there. People still needed help, and I wanted to continue helping, but I didn't want to be in a human body anymore. Then I met Valdivino, and he began to show me how the entities work in this medium. He showed me the form that the medium has in one session, and I understood how it works. Then I was also in him, and started to contribute there.
And how was it?
That was very exhausting, Sylvia. The form of this medium is very small, humanly speaking small, compared to my power. And I must
to constrain my energy a bit. But how was it then when you looked through his eyes? How did you perceive people through his eyes, through his body? That was very interesting.
The images I saw then were not comparable to what I knew. In people, energy fields were visible, which I could now see particularly clearly. And as a result, I was able to treat the causes of the illnesses. It was a, you would say, great experience. Can you send me a picture of exactly how you saw them? Maybe explain a bit more clearly? The energies are in the people and in the aura. This cannot be shared. Do you understand? It is really hard to describe. Words aren't really enough to describe it. You have to imagine it like a matron whose energy is transformable. That takes time, but it's possible. And we provide the impulses here to transform the energy.
Until next time. A cause of a disease. From your perspective, what do you think? How can you tell from your current perception in the energy fields of people an illness?
That is the dark energy. I see much more than just dark energy. It is like a special kind of energy that is just not healthy. Oh, that is again difficult to describe. You know it when you see it. This energy is not healthy. And then you want to make this energy
when do
healthy.
you decide that a person should be in the current and when in an operation?
That depends on the person's energy. If he is strong enough, he gets surgery. If he's still low on energy, then he has to meditate first. It's like preparing for surgery.
There are many people who say that the current is also healing. So sitting next to the medium in sessions that sometimes last 4 or 5 hours. Dana, meditation. How would you describe the current, this meditation space? What exactly happens there, according to you? Perceived delusion?
You have to imagine it as a light connection that people get there. Do you understand? The energy flows through the room and thus through the people. And this in turn causes them to slowly heal their energy. Then, when they are ready for surgery, the operation is performed. As mentioned before, it always varies. And how do you perceive the operations then?
Just like the others. Do you also like doing visible surgeries, like directly on the body, on the flesh? Yes. Where did you get the knowledge about it?
That's it. From our perspective here, the work on your bodies is not really comparable with a standard operation in your hospitals. This is very different. And I watched Dr. Augusto and understood exactly what he is doing.
How exactly would you describe it in your own words?
The energy he gives to the body is pure soul energy. It doesn't require great knowledge of internal medicine to do and understand that. The only hurdle is the cut in the body. But that comes with practice. The first time was a bit difficult for me, but I managed it with the help of Dr. Augusto. Then it worked. The difficult thing is that the human body is very small, and I feel like I'm cutting a mouse into the fabric.
You have funny pictures, but when you are in the medium incorporated,
Yes,
the proportion is ultimately just like human perception.
that's correct, Sylvia. But my perception of strength is different.
And how is it with eye surgeries?
It's similar, as you can imagine. We have to be incredibly sensitive to do that.
What do I think? Is there something that bothers you when you work visually in casa?
No, that's not possible. I am so focused that I can block everything else out. The physicality of the medium is somewhat unique, but I am glad that I am allowed to do it this way.
Can you tell me how you feel when you do these tasks?
Your questions challenge
Until
me.
next time. Bye.
And I have to repeat myself. It's hard to describe, but I'll try. People need to know that we're not judging when we clean them up. Our perception of the world cannot be judged. You can think of it like watching eggs all gather in front of you. They all look the same, but some are a different color, some are bigger, some are smaller, but in the end, they are eggs.
You have really great, interesting pictures that you use to describe your stuff. So you don't really perceive a person's personality.
That's how it is, Sylvia.
And you are not
That's how it
interested
is.
in that
Exactly.
at all.
We are not interested at all, as it could lead to evaluations that we do not carry out here.
So you don't have any feelings about it?
Yes, we have feelings. We take it as true in a multifaceted way.
Are there things in your work that make you sad? Yes.
When I have to watch how people here don't really participate, the way of focusing on one thing is crucial. How it accelerates. But there are many people here who aren't really focused.
What do you think is the cause of this?
The cause is connected to many things. First of all, it's the fact that people here are not alone, but are stuck in various distractions due to communications with each other. And it is also the fact that people need to be especially protected here. But we do not protect you from your destiny. The path you walk is your path. We can only give impulses, but if they do not implement it, it is no longer in our power. I like to emphasize that again. The responsibility and the special environment demand your full concentration here.
And is there a job that you particularly enjoy doing
Yes, yes. I really enjoy performing operations in the energy space, especially the invisible ones. Besides, it's so nice to watch the energy grow. You have to imagine, people come into the operating room and are relatively weak. You understand? Then we come with our consciousness and heal the energies. Their aura expands and they progress further. It's like watering flowers. The strength continues. It gets bigger and keeps expanding. It's always lovely to see.
There they are again, the pictures of Oswald. But there are people who often need to undergo surgery. Why is that? Why doesn't it work? Only once.
That's a very good question, Sylvia. Here is my answer. people always need some time to realize what's happening. The energies also need some time to work in all layers and fields of influence. The whole thing needs time again to solidify in the matter. And during this time, people start creating more blockages with their belief patterns and thoughts to create anew. That's why we have to operate again.
Do people manage to undergo a whole healing process based on their old belief patterns, like after an operation, to undo?
What do you think? Yeah,
I sense
unfortunately, yeah.
That's crazy. What advice should we give them so that it can't happen that healings are reversed just because of false beliefs and fears and whatnot? What kind of programming?
Let's please give it to them that they do not keep going back to their old patterns again and again. Whenever they realize, wait, this is just like before, they should change it. It's actually quite simple.
Yeah. Well, that's hard to say. What do you think is the reason? Why do they make it so complicated?
That cannot be described. It's indescribable. I didn't get it in life, and I don't get it now, Sylvia. It just is. It is what it is. They are like that, and will likely remain so for a long time.
Do you have any particular opinion about the topic of church?
You are asking me this question? The church is a thorn in my side, because on one hand, it is a good idea, but the implementation is wrong. I would like to say something about that. Do you allow me? The energy that flows through people is free energy. I repeat, the energy that flows through people is a free energy. The soul needs this freedom, and it needs the associated vastness. People can also live this expansiveness, but the institutions, such as the Catholic Church, is not designed to support people in their entirety. And that is very unfortunate, because in principle, they only convey bad things.
But there are people in the church who are connected and have their own way of understanding and living energetic knowledge.
Yes. Yes. It is certainly a question of power. If you free the people, you will have no power over them, Sylvia.
Very clever.
And that is perhaps... No. This is the cause of the church's problems. Because if they want power, then they are not connected. The church would have thousands more followers if it were only genuine and free. But this kind of knowledge transfer is not good. Are you sure that I should pass on these messages? I mean, many people need faith and cling to it to survive. It's kind of a guardrail for them to survive at all. To survive. That's right. But you are not here to give people reports of the things they want to hear, isn't it? You have the task of communicating the knowledge in its true essence, and not as people would like it to be. Our and your job is not to maintain the existing bad, but to show the possibility of transformation into vastness and freedom.
What do you appreciate about the patron of the whole idea, how you work there, Dom Ignazio?
His way of doing things is very powerful, and I like that. I like beings that do not think within limits.
Yes,
Humans have always been this way, and are now even more so as beings. He knows no boundaries and experiences this, and it is incredible to observe. This is evident in the way he interacts with and helps people. I keep noticing how he still watches over her, long after her surgeries, and is there for her. That's incredibly loving and attentive.
If one were to measure in strengths, where would you place Dom Ignazio?
Definitely one of the strongest among us. Then comes Dr. Augusto, then Paredo, then me.
And how do you perceive the white spheres when they are warm?
Oh, they are very nice to look at. I love it. They are the little helpers by our side, and we need them. We need them.
What exactly do they do from your perspective?
This is very easy to describe. They clean the fields if it's small cleanups. It is absolutely charming to watch. They take the energy, clean it, and give it
How
back.
do they clean them? They don't have arms or hands or cleaning supplies, right?
Believe it or not, Sylvia, they devour them, and then the energies come out neutral again. And it's quite incredible to observe.
What do you think? Have these white spheres always been here?
I believe they are an integral part of the earth. I believe they are a hybrid form that is tied to the earth's energy on one hand and absorbs nourishment from the form of the sun, yet on the other hand is ethereal. It's once again not
See you
easy
next
for me
time.
to explain this in human words.
Yes.
You will, you must, and you will. See one day.
Yes. It's just your perception that interests me. Is there a part of the casa that you like to visit?
No, I like to be in my level, and from there I like to work in all areas of the casa. That's all, and that's nice, but I don't have a special place there.
And do you often find yourself in the cash register with your attention?
But yes, and often in the medium as well.
What do you prefer? Being in the body of the medium or doing subtle operations from your level?
Good question. I have to think again. The operations are so nice to watch. But viewing the Aukerfelder is also very beautiful and interesting. It's really interesting to see the many different forms. It's not comparable. So I can't answer the way you might want.
I understand. Would you like to give people a final message when they are on the path here and generally on the path to healing?
That they ask. Please be even more mindful in this process. When they've come this far, searching for healing and help, this is not a vacation.
You just took the words right out of my mouth, because this applies to all healing paths. And I can't emphasize it enough myself, because everyone always thinks it's a walk in the park. No, it is not, truly not, but okay, we're getting off track. Thanks for that. What brings you particular
Watching
joy?
when people experience realities, you can imagine that now. It's like a rebirth. Your energy starts to flow, and then it's like a fountain where there was no energy before. Energy now flows, and everything begins to live. It's quite simple, incredibly beautiful.
Do you miss anything from the time of being human, like having a body?
I can't say that easily right now, because it is so beautiful in this state that I miss little about being human. But let's say the pleasures, the sensual, that feeling of each other, something is missing, but only slightly.
What do you miss the most about the sensual pleasures? Kissing or eating or what?
Kissing is not as important as people think, although it can be quite enchanting. But to tell the truth, the food is quite nice.
Do you ever want to incarnate again?
No. This farm here is so beautiful, and this way I can help people better than I could as a human. Back then, it was much harder to get attention with such knowledge. But I can do as I please from here.
Subtitled by the Amado
and my
community.
opinion is not seen as weird. Unlike earlier in life, I no longer experience judgments about my work. No mockery, no scorn, no criticism, no being mistreated. I'm here. Go freely.
I can really understand that. That could be addictive, I think. Do you know why you died so young?
I believe it's a matter of energy. The lifestyle I had was not really conducive to this energy. And as a result, it began to withdraw. And this retreat in turn was my death. I should have nurtured this power more.
I understand. Exciting. I think I have no more questions about Waldo now. And with that, I've reached the end of my questions, and I want to thank you very much for your great answers and your trust. Thank you very much, love.
And I thank you for the opportunity for this conversation, even if I didn't always have the right answer.
You did a great job. I gladly accept this praise. And now we have it immortalized once again, not just in the book, but also here in spoken form. So now you are even more eternal than ever.